All right, guys, we'll go ahead and get started here. We'll start with Coach Bloomquist. And Coach, you got your staff together, so if you just want to kind of welcome them all, and then we'll go straight to questions from there.
Sure. Yeah, our staff is all set. We have Sam Peraza, who we hired from San Diego State, has been there for the last 6 years and done a tremendous job with their pitching staff as well as recruiting coordinating. Has already stepped in and been a huge influence on what we're doing here, given our situation. And he's a very valuable piece to this thing and is tremendous. Mike Goff is our player development infield, outfield coach, kind of do it all, very knowledgeable, been in the game for 35 years professionally, as a manager, as a player development guy, infield, outfield, minor league infield coordinator, is tremendous at mapping out a schedule as far as has experience mapping out spring training schedules, which will help, this fall. But just a tremendous player development guy that is, who I know from experience because he worked with me up through the minor leagues for a lot of years, and I know what he brings to the table on that front. Bill Mueller is our volunteer hitting coach. His background really needs no explanation, but he himself was a batting champion with the Boston Red Sox in 2004. Spent several years in the major leagues as a switch hitter, has been a hitting coach with the St. Louis Cardinals, Chicago Cubs, and more recently on the lower levels here locally at Hamilton High School, volunteering his time there. Obviously, I did my due diligence on him and had a ton of research and background on how great he works with the younger kids at the high school level. So he has the ability to come across well with not only high school level, but all the way up to the major league level as well. So he's already hard at work doing his research on pitchers that we're facing this year and all that stuff. So, and then lastly, Travis Buck is volunteering to be on staff here with us. Travis, again, himself is another big leaguer for a lot of years, a program guy that loves Arizona State, that is willing to just come back and be a volunteer on our staff. I think it's a tribute to what Arizona State means to him as well, and is excited to be part of something special in this building era. So that we're extremely excited to have him as well. So we're in the process of hiring a strength and conditioning coach as well. That should be hopefully wrapped up here shortly. We get that, obviously make that announcement as well. But other than that, we are moving forward in the right direction and excited to get this thing going.
All right, we'll go to questions now, and then just a heads up, all these guys got to get out to recruiting, so we'll try and limit the time that we take from them. So with that said, Leo, go ahead, first question.
Hi, Willie. Now that you've kind of gotten a little bit more settled, I'm curious if you could kind of describe how you've been going about building relationships with some of the players and how the rest of the coaching staff has been doing that as well. Just like, what has that process been like so far?
Well, we've obviously had some hurdles here early on with a lot of things being thrown at me personally and the program, but we've done our best to stay in touch with most, if not all, the players. We've done a couple of Zoom meetings with everybody to kind of inform them of any major moves that have been made. Obviously with the new hires on our coaching staff, and just kind of give them an update on where we stand with things. But individually, we've had some good conversations. Sam has reached out to a lot of the pitchers. I've reached out to several, if not all, the position guys and talked with them. So that communication has been very good. I think there are some players already trickling back, and coming back and working out on their own here around the facilities, which has been great. And other than that, a lot of it as well has been with our future recruits, trying to stay in contact with them and let them know where they stand on the incoming stuff and being in touch with them as well. So a lot of phone calls. My ears are burning a little bit because being on the phone so much, but nonetheless, this is part of the earliest part of this journey.
Great.
Hey, Willie. Not that it's a necessity as a hitting coach, but as you mentioned, Bill is a switch hitter. How much of a luxury kind of is that for your hitting coach to be able to maybe not get in the box, but really relate to both sides of the box and all the hitters on the roster?
Well, I think that was, in trying to determine a hitting coach, that wasn't the end all be all, but it certainly adds just another feather in the hat that he can do and he's capable of doing. So he understands what it's like to be a left-handed hitter and a right-handed hitter and what swing works on both sides of the plate, and what pitches, guys should be looking for in certain situations. I think that certainly is just another added value that he brings to the table, and let alone his personal experience at doing it to the highest level. It's just he's going to be phenomenal with these guys. I'm really excited for the guys to work with him on a hitting department, and just mental approach and all that stuff factors into how good he's going to be.
Michelle.
Hi, Willie. What was, obviously there are no holdovers from the previous staff. In compiling this staff, what were the most important attributes that you were looking for in collegiate coaches?
Trust, first and foremost, commitment to the program, wanting to be here. Those things are very important to me. Communication and experience, and knowing kind of all that together, develop what's going to be best for developing these young men that are here, and giving them the best opportunity for us as a program to win. Not only that, but to develop them to the point when they are finished with Arizona State, that they're able to go on and play after here, if that's what they choose to do. So also factoring into that is the ability to recruit, which Sam plays a huge part of that. And understanding obviously me being brand new to this, I'm still learning the recruiting game, but someone that has a lot of experience in that department, and been very successful at it. That was a big factor in bringing him in that I needed personally. And I think, but when you look at this entirety of the coaching staff, with the experience that we have, not only at the collegiate level, with all of us going through the collegiate ranks as players, but also the professional level and playing at the highest level and coaching at the highest level, the young men that are coming in here are going to get better, and they're going to learn how to play the game the right way and be taught properly. And to me, that's a big selling point of our program.
Jacob.
Hi, Willie. Just curious, as far as goals go in the immediate future, with the coaching staff rounded out and complete except for the strength and conditioning coach, what are some of the things that you're looking to accomplish in the coming weeks and months, just now that that's done? Well,
I think, we had an initial kind of doing this in phases. We look at our initial roster coming back. We just had the draft that changed things quite a bit with us on who we were expecting to have here and who's actually going to end up on campus. And look at our immediate needs as this team coming in this year, with obviously being very thin going into it, but now being a little bit thinner with what the draft threw at us. But trying to fill those holes immediately in the transfer portal. We've been very hard at work there, as well as the 22 class coming in that is pretty thin as well, and trying to fill in the holes and kind of predict where we're going to be a year from now as well. So, and try to fill those holes in, all the while trying to look at the future and the 23 class as well. So there's a lot of factors, but we got to take this in phases. And the first order of business was to make sure we bring the right guys in on this for this immediate roster on who's available out there, and bring those type of guys in that can give us a good opportunity to win games this year and compete and hopefully do something special this year. I'm a guy that, and I think our whole staff would agree that, we're not coming in here to finish second. We're coming in here to try and put the right pieces in the place right now, to be very good this year and compete this year at the highest level. I don't deal with losing very well, and I don't anticipate that. I don't expect to lose. So I'm trying to get the right guys in right now that are going to help us win. That's obviously challenging, but that's where we come and do our due diligence and talk to scouts that we know, people that have watched these guys pitch and play defense and whatever. It's a lot of work and a lot of phone calls, but this is something we're committed to bringing in the right type of guys that can help us win immediately.
Maria.
I just wanted to sort of follow up on your answer to Michelle's question when you talked about you really wanted to fill out the coaching staff with people who are really desiring to be at ASU, and what you think that desire and drive for ASU specifically will do for the program.
Well, I think you got to love where you're at, and be committed to a program that I feel is special. I love Arizona State, and I want people to, I don't view Arizona State as a stepping stone. I view Arizona State as one of the best programs in the country. And for me, I want people to feel that way when they come here and understand that this place is special and understand that this place needs no explanation based on our tradition and our history that we've had here. This place is awesome. And if you don't want to be here, by all means, don't be here. Go elsewhere, please. Because I've held our players to that standard. I'm going to hold our coaches to that standard, and I'm going to hold our trainers, our field crew, our equipment managers, everybody to the standpoint, if you don't want to be part of this, then go elsewhere, please. I'm asking you to go elsewhere because Arizona State's special. And this program, until we draw a line in the sand and realize that we are Arizona State and we're not taking a backseat to anybody, now we can move forward with the guys that want to be here. And that to me is a very big thing.
Jacob.
Willie, what has it been like for you just kind of to get the whole recruiting and the scholarship numbers, details, and all that kind of stuff down and to start learning about that? Just because I know that that's probably a challenging thing for a first-time college coach. So what's it been like for you?
It's been very challenging. And, especially given the change at, with JK leaving and hiring a new guy, that obviously put me back a little bit because I'm learning this, a little baptism by fire. But I think in a lot of ways that was a good thing because it forced me to have to learn this real quick. And it's been kind of fun, to be honest. As stressful as it's been, it's kind of in a way, it's been a lot of fun to play GM in a sense and see how the whole roster is going to shape up and how much scholarship money we have left to spend and kind of it's a juggling act and see who we can get to fill in and what their desires are. So it's been challenging, but it actually has been a lot of fun in trying to find the right players at the right price tag to bring in. All that stuff has kind of been challenging, but fun. And learning the recruiting game, obviously it's what I'm learning is obviously a very vicious thing out there that you got to be on point and understand who you're going after and certainly make good impressions and keep things organized. I can't count how many names I've had thrown at me in the past couple weeks on, you got to go see this guy, got to go see that guy. Well, we're a 3-man staff that can actually go see all these players. So we can't blanket the whole entire country. This is obviously, we got to focus on our immediate needs and go from there. So it's been challenging, a lot of different factors, a lot of different variables, but on the flip side, I feel very confident that I'm picking it up very quickly. And this is something, as we move forward, I'll just continue to learn and get better at.
Take the last couple questions here, Michelle.
Yeah, Willie, you talked about how everything's new. What's been the most surprising thing? Is there anything that really it has really surprised you, either good or bad?
The amount of time I've spent on the phone is probably the most surprising. I knew this was going to be a lot of work. People that I know and trust that have been here and done this, they're like, man, you're taking on a giant. You understand that, right? And I said, yeah, I do. And I was prepared for it, but not this prepared as far as the amount of time I'm spending on the phone and the connections you have to make. And, all that it's been eye-opening, but I don't want to say that in a negative light. It's been great for me. But that's probably been the biggest surprising thing that I've had is, again, part of this is due to the change in staff with JK, leaving and having to make a change there. So that has just added to the amount of phone calls and people that are interested in coming in and filling this job as a pitching coach, recruiting coordinator. That really, the amount of phone calls that I received from that was really overwhelming. But nonetheless, now that we have our full staff in place, that has kind of settled down and I'm kind of catching my breath, which is good.
Last question, Jacob.
I know it's obviously early and, with the draft just happening, there were even more changes, but what would you say are some of the strengths of the roster that you have in front of you or may have in front of you? And what would you say some of the areas of weakness might be in your kind of immediate evaluation of it?
Well, I think obviously the position player experience coming back, and a lot of those guys played pretty much the whole year as freshmen. So when you look at the fact that most of all of them are returning except for Drew Swift, I think that's a big strength from an experience standpoint. And that's probably our strength going in, is the fact that we have most of our guys in our lineup that are returning. Obviously from a standpoint of where I think our immediate needs were, was obviously our pitching, with having the injuries that we've had last year and having to fill in with guys that had to be pushed up in their roles a little bit. Not only that, but now the draft has happened and is quite frankly gutted a few of the guys that we were anticipating coming in and filling those starting roles. But we're very confident with the guys that are bringing in from the portal as well. So I don't want to say that that's a weakness, because I think we are going to be have a lot of arms that are capable. It's just a matter of who's going to rise up and take the bull by the horns and be our Friday night and Saturday night starters. That's going to be healthy competition this fall as we go into things. I do believe we are, a little bit shy on left-handers right now, but that's something that we're going to attempt to address here in the near future. And if we can't, we feel we have enough right-handed arms that can have stuff in the repertoire to get left-handed hitters out as well. So weaknesses, I think I don't want to say we have weaknesses, because these kids are very capable of doing good things. And I don't see it as a weakness. I see it as more opportunity than weakness.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, guys, thank you very much. Sam Peraza is coming in next. So he's our pitching coach, recruiting coordinator, as I said, and he's excited to talk to you guys next. So Sammy, all you.
Good. All right, Coach, welcome, first of all. We just want to start with an opening statement about coming to Arizona State, and then we'll go to questions from there.
Absolutely. First of all, I'm so ecstatic to be here. Fired up beyond belief. I've hit the ground running. I just can't say enough about the coaching staff that I'm joining. Coach Bloomquist. I've been around some pretty good collegiate head coaches that I thought were really hardworking guys. I can't tell you how hard and passionate Coach Bloomquist is about the ASU program. We've been here since I gotten here, from 7 a.m. to 10 at night, sometimes 11 at night sometimes. But his passion is really rubs off on everybody, his players, his coaches included. And I'm really excited to be a part of it.
Questions for Coach Peraza? Jacob.
Hi, Coach. I'm just curious what you kind of evaluate to be the biggest opportunities for you and for this roster and this new opportunity that you have.
Well, the biggest opportunity for me is obviously coming to the Sun Devil family and getting the chance to realistically go to Omaha year in and year out. I mean, that's the goal. As far as the roster goes, I think we're plenty capable. I know that we've been up there kind of brainstorming in the war room what everything's going to look like. And I know there was some challenges with the pitching staff last year, but I really do think that there's some good arms in place. We shored up some stuff on our roster where we could piece things together and give us a legitimate chance to win the Pac-12 and make a good run, a deep run into June, and get to Omaha, which is what the team is, it is what the Sun Devils are used to. So hopefully we could get ourselves back to that tradition that was set forth in front of us by the old coaching staff that came through here and all the old great players that came through here.
Great.
Hey, Coach. You mentioned Willie's and the whole staff's passion for the ASU program and also work ethic, going 7 to 10. Is there any one moment in either of those cases that stood out to you and really made you open your eyes like, wow, this is different?
I don't know if I could pinpoint one moment, but I would say that they just the passion that Coach Bloomquist has in the ASU program. And now thinking back at it, yeah, there is a moment when we have some recruits that we've brought in. We were fortunate enough to sign a 2022 catcher from Arizona, left-handed hitter, and just hearing Coach Bloomquist and the entire staff speak to him about their experience at ASU and the vision they have for the program, it gave me chills. It got me fired up. I was ready to go out there and try to get as many guys in here as possible. And shoot, I wanted to put the uniform on right then and there myself. So he did a great job with those guys, and you could see it's real, which is the biggest thing.
Jacob.
You mentioned the injuries that ASU had to deal with last year on its pitching staff, and I'm curious, kind of how does a pitching coach go about helping rebound the pitching core from something like that? Whether it's the relievers that had to get pushed up in their role last year, or guys who may have been hurt that are coming back. How do you kind of rebound from that, and what are the steps that have to be taken in order to effectively do so?
So with injuries comes opportunities for other people. That's one thing that we forget. So maybe some of the guys, keep in mind a guy like Kai Murphy, who wasn't even supposed to be in our plans as a pitcher, gets an opportunity because of all the injuries. And now, we've spoken to Kai and said, hey, dude, you're a pretty good left-handed pitcher. You got to be a two-way guy here for us. And he's wanting and willing to step in and do it. So I think there was a lot of opportunities that were set forth for some of those guys that maybe weren't going to get the big innings. And with that comes experience. And this game is so important when it comes to experience. So you look at this year, I was talking to some of our guys already, Levine, who's coming up and talking to me a little bit later. Those guys all got valuable experience last year, whether they were successful or not in those experiences during given times. They're extremely valuable moving forward. So now we feel confident in throwing them in big moments. Plus, they're here to mature some of the younger guys and share those experiences with them. And on top of that, as we look at our pitching staff, we're hoping to get some big arms back in March, which is going to be, if we could get this thing going and we could get those guys back, we feel good about the late season push.
Jack.
Hey, Coach, you mentored some really good staffs at SDSU, and obviously every coach operates differently. Could you just put into words real quick your philosophy as a pitching coach, what you think, how a staff should operate, how they should attack hitters?
Yeah, no problem. I'm all about being aggressive, getting after guys. We talk about passing the baton to the next guy. Don't worry about how deep in the game you're going to go. Just go as long as you can, go as hard as you can for as long as you can. Pass the baton on, which is the baseball, to the next guy coming out of the bullpen. That's always kind of been the philosophy. Hey, get after it, be aggressive, throw strikes. As far as the mentoring part and overall structure of our staff, the way I always talk to recruits about it is we're going to be addressing individual needs within a team concept. We have our whole team concept on the pitching staff, what we want to do, but every pitcher is different. We have so many tools out here. I always tell them it's a big toolbox. We have the pitching lab. Some guys have heavy balls, some guys don't. I'm not necessarily a particular person when it comes to heavy balls or, spin rate. I'm everything. All of those things are tools in your toolbox. I always tell the guys, ASU has provided that for us. So if you ever need to go and grab a wrench or a hammer, well, that's considered your pitching lab. That's considered your, Rapsodo. And sometimes, sometimes when you're building something and fixing something around the house, sometimes you just need the man to do it. You don't need any tools. You just need yourself, your hands, and you need to get down and dirty and you'll fix it yourself. So we'll be a team, but we'll address every individual need as much as possible.
Jacob.
Sam, you're also taking over as this program's recruiting coordinator, and I'm curious kind of what you evaluate to be the opportunity in recruiting at a program like Arizona State, and kind of what are the program's strengths on the recruiting trail, and kind of how do you use that in this new role?
The strengths are his history, what we're capable of doing. And as far as me becoming the recruiting coordinator, one thing I've been telling people is I'm going to do the job exactly how it's titled, recruiting coordinate. I think nowadays, a lot of recruiting coordinators try to be a one-man show, going out there and signing somebody and being aggressive and offering and getting their name out there. My job is to coordinate and put these guys in the best possible situation as C players. So I've already sent Coach Goff to see a couple players. He's a great evaluator. Kind of just putting Coach Bloomquist in the right place, to be as far as where the big events are at, where he's going to see the most talent. And my job would be to kind of run around and find that young talent. But when it comes to getting ready to offer a guy and getting ready to make a guy a Sun Devil, I want all of us to be able to see him and make the right decisions. I think that's been an issue just in college baseball, period, where we've gone way too fast and not getting the right guy. We need to get the right guy, take our time, make sure we evaluate the right way, and we need to win the Valley. I think that's a big, important part. I've reached out to many high school coaches that quite frankly have said, hey, I'm glad someone reached out. We haven't had a chance to talk frequently. And I told them, hey, we're going to talk once a week. You know, I want to talk to all the high school coaches, all the travel ball coaches here in our Valley, and make sure we win our backyard first and foremost.
Last couple of questions, Jack?
Most of the coaches that Willie brought in have a lot of experience at the professional and big league level, but you're bringing in a lot of college experience. Are you looking to be able to impart some of that on not only the players, but the rest of the coaches, how the game is played at this level, especially in recent years?
I think we get to learn from each other, right? I made a joke to my wife that when we were introducing ourselves to the team, they had about 30 minutes of accolades going from big league world champions to batting titles. And then there was me, right? San Diego State, 6 years, FIU. But I think we're going to get a chance to learn from each other. So I think I've obviously just gave my heart and soul and my time to the college game and know how it's structured. And they are very, very veterans when it comes to just a game of baseball and knowing everything about it and how it's played. So I think it's going to be a good mix. I think I get a chance to learn from them and experiences they have. And they get to pick my brain and learn from experiences I had when it comes to scheduling practices, you know, how to structure it to maximize our time. The college game, there's a lot of rules and limitations when it comes to time. And that's something that I could bring that wealth of knowledge to them. And, you know, I'm open ears as well. I want to learn anything they got for me. I'm ready to learn and hit the ground.
Any other questions?
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. Mike Goff's coming over. Again, I want to lend myself available to all you guys. Anytime you need anything, please feel free and give me a call. And I'm always open for questions or comments or even suggestions. I'm all about everything, and go Sun Devils.
All right, everyone, we got Coach Goff here. Coach, if you just want to kind of lead off with a statement about coming to Arizona State, and then we'll go to questions.
This is kind of a dream come true for me to get a chance to do this with Bloomquist. A guy I had a long time ago, had the opportunity to spend a lot of time with and trained once he left ASU and came to the Seattle Marin organization. And seeing what he's done in his career, we've always remained very close, and getting this opportunity to come back here with him and see him get this program back where it belongs, it's an honor. It's a true honor.
Jacob, first question.
Hi, Coach. I'm just curious, you know, as somebody who worked with Willie as a player and now to be on his coaching staff, what's that like for you? And just when you got the phone call, when he asked you if that would be something you were interested in, just what was your initial reaction to
that? It was kind of the tables are turning. Now he's going to be the boss. That was my initial reaction, but I've known this kid for a long time, and knowing what he's all about, what his work ethic is, his passion for the game, knowing that everything he touches in life, he's a success at. And being with a guy like that and hopefully guiding him through a little bit of this from the part of the game that he hasn't done yet, from the coaching or running a ball game type situations, man, it's just an honor. I mean, I feel like I got a new lease on life right now as far as energy to do this again. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
Michelle.
Okay, I'm going to date myself a little bit. Mike and I go back a little bit. I don't know if you remember, Mike, when I covered the Cal League and you were a Mariners roving instructor, and occasionally you'd stop into San Bernardino and we'd talk about your infielders. So I'm feeling a little old at this point, but obviously this is a little bit different than that type of job. What do you like most about this position and this challenge?
Well, it's great seeing you again. And yeah, those are some great days. difference in this job and the professional job is we get to pick our own players. And for me, that is huge. In the professional side of it, the scouts pick the players and we develop whatever they send us. In this perspective, in the college type, we get to choose the type players that we know are going to play the type baseball that we want to play as a staff and as a university. And that's a huge difference, which I love. We're looking for a certain type of player. We're looking for grinders. We're looking for hard-nosed kids that will come out here and do whatever it takes to get the job done. So from those two perspectives, I would say that's probably the biggest one.
Leo.
Hi, Coach. Going off that a bit, what's the biggest difference in how you coach in the bigs versus how you coach in college? Or does it kind of overlap a little bit?
No, I think in college, you have to assume they know nothing. And you have to start from the very bottom, and you have to be very detailed, as opposed to in the major leagues, you're dealing with guys who've been playing this game for a long time. They have a much better understanding of how to play the game once they get to that position. Their physical tools, say, for example, from the fielding or hitting, our job as coaches in the major leagues is to know when these guys are going good, what are they doing? And when they start getting off track a little bit, how to get them back on track real quick. At the college level, we have to go into this assuming they know nothing. And we have to train them from mentally, physically, every skill they do. We know they have talent when they get here, or they wouldn't be here. But the mental side of the game is something that I see in young kids today is something that's disappearing.
Right.
Hi, Coach. You mentioned you're looking for hard-nosed kids and grinders. In terms of on-the-field attributes, is there a skill set that you feel you value more or less than the average coach?
Well, the game has got to be the guy on the hill and catching the ball behind him. It's always got to start there. When you run up against great pitchers, some nights you're not going to hit. You may score 2-3 runs, but when you can throw the ball across the plate and play tremendous defense every single night, you always have a chance to win. And once you start matching up in regionals or super regionals with some pretty good pitching you're facing, if you don't have somebody to match it and you can't play defense and stay close, knowing you're not going to score a lot of runs, you have to find a way to manufacture runs in those situations, because most of the time against great pitching, you're not going to string together 3 hits in a row. So the guy on the hill sets the tone. The defense makes that guy that much better. And we fight and scrap offensively to put runs on the board. I think that's the way the game should be played. You look at every successful team in the history of baseball, it starts with that guy on the mound. He's got to set the tone, and we got to play great defense behind him.
Maria.
Hi, Willie and Sam shared with us that you all have been putting in long days and big hours. What's something that you've learned about the other members of the coaching staff during that time that surprised you or you think is interesting?
Well, I don't think any of it surprised me. I think when Willie was talking about or thinking about putting his staff together, he was going to hire a certain type of mentality. Our mentality is we don't care how many hours it takes. Whatever it takes, we're going to do it. And I think every guy on the staff so far is putting in long hours, scouring the country for the needs we have immediately, and also the needs we'll have for the next couple of years. And wherever we have to go to find them, we will go. And in baseball, there is no clock. You don't punch a time clock in or out. You do whatever it takes to get it done. And that's the type of guys he has on his staff. And I think that's why here in the first month, we've all worked very well together.
Jacob.
What would you evaluate to be some of this roster's biggest strengths and maybe weaknesses just in your early evaluation of the team? And kind of what are some of the things that you need to work on or continue with these guys that you've kind of seen in them in these first couple of weeks on the job?
Well, we hadn't had a chance to really see the players yet, other than the guys that are in summer school out here and just talking with them. So we haven't seen their skill sets yet, but we know these kids are going to swing the bat pretty well, at least the returning guys. We knew we had a couple of pieces of the puzzle. A shortstop replaced Swifty. We had to find a guy that can number one, play defensively, and number two, add to our offensive production at that position. But I think our biggest need was our pitching staff. With all the guys coming off injury from last year, the guys we lost in the draft, the few guys that chose to go elsewhere, we knew we had to reach out quickly and grab some good arms and some guys who can come in here and compete. And I think so far we've done a pretty good job of that. We still got some holes we got to fill, but if everything shakes out the way we think it is at this point in the next week, I think we're going to be okay.
Next question. Jacob.
You have a very long experience and a career in player development, and I'm curious just kind of how those skills and what you learned in a long time in that role translates to your new position, and how that kind of helps you grow college talent and get them off to wherever it is they want to go after ASU.
Well, the game has changed a lot professionally as far as how the game is played and how they're developing players. And we could talk about that forever, but you still have to prepare these kids when they go to the next level of what they're getting into. Most college kids have no idea that once they get into professional baseball, there's no longer time constraints on how long you can practice. There's no longer mandatory days off or anything like that. When they get to professional baseball, it is a grind. And that's something that in the college game right now, with the limitations on the amount you can practice, the mandatory days off, that's something they're not going to get when they get to the professional game. So our job is to teach them how to grind. And every second we have out on the field has to be used to the fullest. Because with the time constraints in college now, it's difficult to train a guy as deep as you need to train him in all the skills on the limited amount of time you have to train them in the college game. So we have to be very efficient in how we train them. We have to be very organized, and it's going to be intense, and that's the way it has to be. Our training has to be more difficult than the game is. So when they get to the game, it's like a breath of fresh air. Oh God, we're not training today, we finally get to play. We want the game to be easier than their practices.
Any final questions? Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, we got Coach Bill Mueller here. Coach, if you just want to quickly lead off with coming to Arizona State, and then we'll go to questions from there. Just give an opening statement about coming to Arizona State.
Oh, okay. Hey, super excited to be here, and I'm ready to kick this thing off right away. So I'm excited for the players to start coming back and be a part of this push to change this culture up a little bit and get to Omaha.
Jacob.
Hi, Coach. Just with your experience in baseball, what are some of the things that you believe you're able to do with some of these young players and to kind of help influence their careers? So just like, what are the immediate goals, and how do you kind of go about them with your experience?
Well, that's going to be individually based, and that's going to be once they, get here to start understanding who they are and their capabilities, and planting seeds and getting these guys to grow so that one, that they're, accomplished Pac-12 hitters and can dominate this Pac-12 and then go on to be special players from the minor leagues on up to the big leagues. So just arming them mentally and physically, and that will be in-house, and that's going to be on an individual basis of their capabilities and who they are.
Zach.
Hey, Coach, I think it was either Sam Peraza or Mike Goff who said that they want to win the backyard. How do you think your experience at Hamilton will help out with that?
Well, having the ties and knowing the coaches from around the area and them, Mike Woods he's unbelievable as far as being an ambassador to the high school game, where he gets these guys together and we get to talk baseball, and then we get to introduce ourselves to all these different coaches and everything when I was a part of that program. And getting to know these guys, and then them understanding who I am and what I'm about, and, talk about the game of baseball and my experiences, and helping them out in some fashion as well. So as far as, winning in the backyard, having those ties and them understand who I am, and, it just helps. There's a lot of relationships in this game and the communication. And I think that starts at that ground level, the high school level, and to be able to have those types of resources in your backyard is always important. And, like I said, those guys over there at Hamilton, how they handle things and what type of people they are and how they communicate, special. So it's going to be it's going to be a great resource to have all those guys and all those friends from those high schools.
Jacob.
You obviously haven't been able to do much, in-person evaluation of your players, just with it being the summer and everything. But what would you say your initial impressions are of the hitters on this roster, and what do you think their strengths are, and just kind of what have been your observations?
Oh, it's a great start. There's a lot of talent here with the offense. So, it's just a matter of maintaining and building and progressing the offense. And, we want to be a well-rounded player offensively, where we can be not just one-dimensional. We want to be dynamic, whether it's whatever part of the game is asked of these individuals that they're prepared to handle. And it's just not going to be waiting for that 3-run homer. We need to be multi-dimensional in all aspects of the game, and understand, we got to upgrade approaches and so on and so forth. But we just want to be well-rounded, so that in any situation we're going to be able to compete and be as unselfish as possible to get that W that night or that day.
Next question. Jacob, go ahead.
What would you say some of the advantages at Arizona State are as far as recruiting goes, and kind of what are some of your approaches as far as talking to players and the whole recruiting game?
Well, I'm not actually a part of that, but I would say it's Arizona State. I mean, my goodness, it's almost like you're a part of a big league team to some degree. I mean, this is a special place with the history and the people that have come through here, and the atmosphere that has been created here in the past. And this is a place where you want to play. I mean, the weather's incredible. The facilities are immaculate, and the reputation is, off the charts. So what's not to like? And what's, as far as how do you get someone here? And that's going to start with W's, first and foremost. And, that's going to be for us to show that, we're on the map here, and we're here to compete. We're here to take advantage of, being a big part of a new movement and get a lot of wins. And, along with that reputation, you get W's to connect with that. It's going to be hopefully a place, the destination that's even higher on people's lists.
Jacob.
There's obviously a ton of big league experience on this coaching staff between yourself and Coach Bloomquist and Mike Goff, just having been a coach for so long. What are the advantages of having such experience all together on a coaching staff, and how can that help young players develop as far as their careers go?
Well, yeah, being dynamic in how to approach situations. You have to sometimes be very creative, and you can, if you have children or anything, you can say, something one way and they don't get it. But if you have 7 options to say the same thing, that they can hear that 7th option and be able to apply to make progress. And as you know, this is just as much as a physical game, but most importantly, it is a mental game. And to be able to have, multi different personalities from so much experience, you can help calm that emotion down to keep this game at a physical level instead of making it an emotional game where, you know, that type of direction kind of slows people down and hinders your progress. So, you know, managing the mind as well as the body with all our experience and understanding progress and you know, what I've learned through this game with my experience is you got to eat patience for breakfast. So to be a good teacher and to be, you know, a good role model to, you know, start that relationship to start and, you know, have the patience to understand that some of these things that these kids are trying to accomplish is going to take time and it's a difficult game. And we're going to have many different facets of way to communicate things to help them get better.
Any final questions for Coach Mueller?
I should have set up better on my posture.
All right, Coach.
All right. Hey, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. And hopefully I'll be in communication with you guys as the years goes on. And I appreciate your time. And thank you for letting me hang out with you guys for a little bit. So nice to meet you guys and talk to you guys later on. Thank you.
Back in 2002, Murph brought him down. I got a chance to meet him. We were really pretty similar players. So I knew our mentality, our mindset was going to be the same. And just getting an opportunity, I didn't care what it was. I don't care what my title is. I don't know what it is. I know my limitations. They're very similar to what I had at Boise State. But just being a part of obviously the tradition, coming back home, I just jumped at the bit and wanted to come down here as soon as possible. Very fortunate. I'm very fortunate to be here.
Jacob.
You obviously have a ton of excitement to be back in this role, and it was clear in just the way that you tweeted about your return to the program and what you said just now. What are some of the opportunities that you think you have to impact this roster, and just kind of what are your goals in your role?
Well, the biggest thing that I can, you know, be as an asset to the program is obviously being a former player, the expectations, dealing with, you know, the pressure if there is, but helping out the coaching staff. I'm going to be working with them, you know, on a daily basis. I want to make their jobs a lot easier, whatever that is. But most importantly, I'm just another set of eyes and ears, because they always can't be there all the time, but I can be able to filter around everywhere and just watch and listen and take notes and be able to talk to the staff. But, you know, I think with, you know, the 2 years that I experienced at Boise State is going to make this transition a lot easier because I've experienced it. I know it's a different ball game coming to Arizona State from Boise State. But just being able to be utilized in a multitude of ways, obviously, you know, is legally possible with all the NCAA rules, but also being a mentor to these guys, being able to I know what they're going to be going through playing here, and things like that, where I think will really help the staff as well as the players.
Jacob.
As far as, you know, college coaching experience goes on this staff, you are the only one other than Sam Peraza who's done it before in the last 2 decades. And I'm curious kind of what that might also bring to the table as far as helping Willie or Mike Goff or Bill Mueller just kind of understand the game and recruiting maybe and scholarships and all that kind of stuff.
You know, that's another thing that really excited me coming down here, just because, you know, seeing the staff, which is amazing. We've all hit it off. It's great coming to work every day, smile on your face. But having them lean on me and getting my thoughts on a lot of things, there's definite value that I bring. Just because, like you said, Sam and I are the only guys that have experience. Granted, for me, it was a short amount of time, but I was thrown in the fire, helping start a program from the ground up. Not too many people get a chance of that opportunity. and me being able to dabble a little bit on the recruiting side, the scholarship, all the rules, and obviously, you know, helping Bill with the hitting side, the volunteer type of role, me being in a non-coaching staff member type of role, and having that experience, really, you know, allows me to be and bring a lot of value just based on me, you know, being in college baseball a couple of years ago.
Great.
Hi, Coach. So Willie and you obviously have a deep love for the program and the history of Arizona State baseball. Do you think that brings a quantifiable advantage or edge to the coaching staff?
Absolutely. I mean, it all starts up top with Willie, right? Just seeing the type of player, the mental toughness, his mentality, how he played the game, is going to trickle down to not just the rest of the staff, but also the players. But bringing, you know, having me on board, that was a similar player when I was here, having the high expectations, demanding guys to be great, expect to be great, is really, you know, gonna just be an easy, I guess, transition with the entire staff. But even the guys that he brought in, Goffy, Sam, and Bill, have that similar mindset. They just didn't come to Arizona State, but they know all about Arizona State. They know the tradition, they know the expectations. But having Willie, you know, at the very top, makes things a lot easier. But the guys that he brought in still have the same mindset. It's just they didn't attend Arizona State.
Any final questions for Travis?
Awesome.
No, huh?
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.